Morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about another important concept in the muscle. Okay, chapter what you call locomotion chapter in a muscle contraction. So the schematic representation or schematic presentation of the muscle contraction we are going to discuss. Okay, the schematic presentation of muscle contraction. Muscle contraction is initiated by the signal from central nervous system. So first, the muscle contraction, how it will be initiated? It is initiated by the central nervous system. So brain and spinal cord, you know very well. Then, so from CNS, what will be released? The release of acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction will be takes place. What is acetylcholine? Neurotransmitter. So because of that signal, acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. Which one? Acetylcholine will be transferred, released from the neuromuscular junction. Next, from there, action potential in the muscle fiber. What will be formed? Causes because of this acetylcholine. What will be takes place? Action potential in the muscle fiber will be takes place. Then that triggers the release of calcium ions. From where the calcium ions are there? You know very well the calcium ions present in the sarcoplasm reticulum. That calcium ions binds with the tropionin, tropomyosin, uncovers the binding site on action and initiates the contraction. So myosin binding sites and actin exposed and myosin head binds to the actin and a power stroke by the myosin head, then actin filament slides towards the center of sarcomere. The signal stops from central nervous system, then calcium will go back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum, then tropomyosin, tropionin masks, okay, the binding sites, then filaments pulled back to original position. So filaments will come back to original position. So like this, there will be what will be present? Muscle, what you call contraction will be there. Okay, so all important points, all important steps only. First, what? From central nervous system signal will come. Then acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, released at the neuromuscular junction. Then action potential in the muscle fiber. Then triggers the release of calcium ions from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Then calcium, tropionin, tropomyosin uncovers the binding sites on actin and initiates the contraction. Then myosin binding sites on action exposed. Then myosin head binds to actin. Then power stroke by myosin head. Then actin filament slides towards the center of sarcomere. Then signal storms from central nervous system and calcium will go back to central sarcoplasmic reticulum and tropomyosin, tropionin masks binding sites and filaments pulled back to original position. So this is the what is called schematic presentation of muscle contraction. So what's the major role? Central nervous system, because by the help of acetylcholine. So action potential on muscle fibers triggers the release of calcium. Calcium is must and should for muscle contraction. Then calcium, tropionin and tropomyosin uncovers the binding sites of the actin. Then initiate the contraction. Then myosin bindings the actin exposed myosin head bind to the actin. The power stroke by myosin head. Actin filament slides towards the center of sarcomere. Then signal stops from central nervous system. Calcium go back to sarcoplasmic reticulum. Tropomyosin and tropionin mask binding sites and filaments pulled back to original position. So this is the schematic, what is called the presentation of muscle contraction. That is the first part. Next concept is types of skeletal muscle contraction. What are those types of skeleton muscle contraction. There are two primary types of muscle contraction. How many? Primary types of muscle contraction. Number one, what are those? Isotonic contraction, isometric contraction. Isotonic contraction, isometric contraction. What are these two? The type of contraction depend on the changes in the length and tension of the muscle fiber. Okay, changes in the length and the tension of the muscle fiber. Change in the length and tension of muscle fibers at the time of its contraction. First, isotonic contraction. Isotonic contraction. What is that? Same. Iso means what? Same. Tonic means resistance. Okay, same. For example, isotonic contraction. In isotonic contraction, the length of the muscle changes, but the tension remains constant. Length of the muscle will be changed, but the tension remains constant here. The force produced unchanged. Here the force produced unchanged. Force produced is unchanged. For example, lifting dumbbells and weightlifting. So weightlifting, dumbbells, these all are examples. What is going on in this? The muscle, length of the muscle changes, but the tension remains constant. The tension remain constant. That is called the isotonic. Okay, in isotonic contraction, the length of muscle changes. Muscle will be changes, but the tension remains constant. Force produced is unchanged. This is called best example, lifting dumbbells and weightlifting. Like isometric. For example, in isometric contraction, length of muscle does not change, but the tension of the muscle changes. For example, pushing against the wall, holding a heavy bag. So holding a heavy bag, what will happen? Length of the muscle will not change. Okay, length of the muscle does not change, but the tension in the muscle changes. Tension will be more in the muscle bags. So that is called, what is called, the isometric contraction. Okay, best examples, pushing against the wall. So muscle does not change, but the tension will be changed in the muscle. This is isometric. And holding a heavy bag. So those are isotonic, isometric. So isotonic means, what is isotonic? Length of the muscle changes, but the tension remains constant. Okay, lifting dumbbells and weightlifting. Isometric, length of the muscle does not change, but the tension of the muscles will be changed. Okay, so that is isometric. Example, the pushing against a wall and holding a heavy bag. Next, types of skeletal muscle fibers. What we are discussing? Types of skeletal muscle fibers. Okay, what are those skeletal muscle fibers will be discussed. Number one, the muscle fiber can be classified on the basis of, three: their rate of shortening, either fast or slow, and the way in which they produce ATP needed for contraction, either oxidative or glycolytic. Once again, the muscle fibers can be classified on the basis of their rate of shortening. Okay, how that will be shortened, and the fast or slow, and which they produce ATP needed for contraction. Which way the ATP produced? Either oxidative phosphorylation or glycolytic. So fibers containing myosin with high ATPase activity are classified as fast fibers. More ATPase is there in the cells, they will be called fast fibers. And the lower ATPase, and with the lower ATP activity classed as slow fibers. More ATPase, fast fibers. Less ATPase, less slow fibers. Fibers that contain numerous mitochondria, high capacity for oxidative phosphorylation are classified as. More mitochondria means that is called oxidative fibers, such as Such fibers depend on blood flow to deliver oxygen and nutrients to the muscles. So that fibers depend on blood flow. Which one? Oxidative fibers will deliver oxygen and nutrients to the muscles. The oxidative fibers termed as red muscle fibers. The oxidative fibers are also called red muscle fibers that contains few mitochondria. Both are same. Oxidative muscle fibers also called red muscle fibers that contain few mitochondria but possess a high concentration of glycolytic enzymes. More glycolytic enzymes are there. Next, mitochondria fibers that contains more few mitochondria but possess a high concentration of glycolytic enzymes. Okay, few mitochondria and high concentration of glycolytic enzymes. Those are called, and the large stores of glycogen are called glycolytic fibers. Mitochondria less and the glycolytic enzymes are more in the sense they will be called glycolytic fibers. The lack of myoglobin gives pale color to the fibers. So when the myoglobin is not there in the sense muscle pigment, they will be called pale color. They are called white muscle fibers. Okay. So once again children, these all are very important. So first of all, the muscle fibers can be classified based on their shortening, either fast or slow, and the way which they produce ATP needed for contraction, either oxidative or glycolate. Fibers containing myosin with high ATPase activities are classified as a fast fibers. Low ATPase activity are what is called less fibers or slow fibers. Fibers that contain numerous mitochondria have high capacity for oxidative phosphorylation, classified oxidative fibers, more mitochondria. So it depends on the blood flow to deliver oxygen and nutrients to the muscles. Okay, the oxidative fibers are termed as red muscle fibers. The oxidative muscle fibers are called red muscle fibers. Fibers that contain few mitochondria and more glycolytic enzymes are called glycolytic muscle fibers. The lack of myoglobin means pale color means white muscle fibers. So based upon the what called mitochondria and glycolytic enzymes, based upon their pigments, okay, phosphorylation, like that muscles are divided into red, glycolytic, white. Next, skeletal muscle fibers are further classified in three types based on the above classification: the slow oxidative fibers, fast oxidative fibers, and fast glycolytic. Slow oxidative fibers, fast oxidative fibers, fast glycolytic. Slow oxidative fibers means what? Have low rates of myosin ATP hydrolysis but have the ability to make the large amount of ATP. So large amount of ATP but ATP is less. Hydrolysis of ATP will be slow process but more ATP to produce more ATP. These fibers are used for prolonged regular activities such as long distance swimming, long distance running. Have a higher proportion of these fibers in their leg muscles. Where this slow oxidative leg muscles running time, it will be, what is that? Low rates of myosin ATP hydrolysis but have the ability to make large amount. So swimming, running, like that. Fast oxidative fibers have myosin more ATPase activity and can make large amounts of ATP. Okay, so ATPase activity and can make large amount of what is called ATPs. They are particularly suited for rapid actions. So fast rapid actions. Fast glycolytic fibers have myosin. Okay, myosin ATPase activity but cannot make as much as ATP oxidative fibers because their source of ATP is glycolysis. Here the source of ATP is glycolysis. Okay, here ATP hydrolysis, but here ATP glycolysis. These fibers best suited for rapid intense actions such as short sprint at maximum speed. So short sprint and maximum speed. So slow oxidative fibers have low rates of myosin ATP hydrolysis but have the ability to make large amount of ATP. These fibers are used for prolonged regular activities such as distance swimming, long distance runners. Okay, that is slow oxidative fibers. Fast activative fibers, myosin ATPase activity and can make large amounts of ATP. High myosin ATPase and what is called more amounts of ATP, particularly suited for rapid actions. Fast glycolytic fiber have myosin ATPase activity but cannot make such ATP as oxidative fibers because their source of ATP, here source of ATP is glycolysis, not for oxidation, okay, not for ATPase. These fast what you called fibers are suitable for the rapid intense action such as short sprint and maximum speed. Short sprint and maximum speed. Like that, there will be isotonic, isometric, okay, oxidative, glycolytic, okay, this kind of things will be changed. Okay, isotonic muscles will be changed, but the tension remains constant. Length of muscle does not change, but contention will be changed. Isometric and types of based on oxidation fibers. Okay, red muscle fibers, more ATPs, but numerous what you called myosin ATP hydrolysis, low rates of ATP, what you called hydrolysis, but have capacity to bear more ATPs, large amount of ATPs. So this low helpful for running, swimming, muscle fibers, fast, rapid actions. Here also, okay, fast glycolytic fibers for maximum speed we can use. So like this, what you call the types of skeleton muscles also present in our body. So in the next class, what we will be discuss is, the next class we will be discuss about skeletal system and its functions. What is the skeleton system? You know very well, consists of framework of bones, cartilage and bones. These bones and cartilage are derived from mesoderm. Okay, muscles are attached to the bones by means of tendons. You know, muscle and bone attached by tendon, bone to bone ligament. So this is a very important. There are three types of skeleton systems. What are those? Hydrostatic skeleton, exoskeleton, endoskeleton. Hydrostatic skeleton, which is found in the soft-bodied invertebrates, earthworm. Okay, it is fluid-filled cavity enclosed by muscles. In earthworm, we will see hydrostatic. What we will see in earthworm? We will see hydrostatic skeleton system, fluid-filled. The next, another important one is, what is another important one? There will be exoskeleton, which is found in vertebrates, okay, present outside of the body, like a what you call cockroach. Okay, so we will see the cuticle is there or not, like that. Exo. Endoskeleton means which is found inside of the body. So vertebrates composed of bones, you know, exoskeleton like nails, hair, horns, okay, cuticle, these all are exoskeleton. Endoskeleton means what? The endoskeleton means the skeleton which is found inside of the body, okay, like bones, okay, vertebrates, cartilage, surrounded by muscles. So bones are there, cartilage is there, but they are surrounded by which one? Muscles. They are called what you called endoskeleton, okay, inside of the body. That's why they will be called endoskeleton. Hydrostatic means the cavity, fluid filled cavity encircled by muscles. Only fluid filled cavity encircled by muscles like earthworm. Okay, exoskeleton like cockroach, and endoskeleton means like humans. Okay, in human beings, the skeleton system is made up of, you know very well, 206 bones. So what are the 206 bones? What is axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton? Will be discussed in the next class. But up to the need bits what in this video. Neurotransmitter acetylcholine, tropion and tropomyosin and calcium uncovers the binding sites, actin binding sites, initiates the contraction. What is isotonic? What is isometric? So muscle changes but tension remains constant. Isometric, length of muscle does not change, but the tension of muscles will be changed, pushing the wall against the wall. Types of muscles: oxidative fibers, red muscle fibers. Okay, what is oxidative muscle fibers and what is red muscle fibers? You know very well. So oxidative muscle fiber is high capacity of oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, so depend on blood flow to deliver oxygen and nutrients to those muscles. Okay, next one, oxidative fibers named as red muscle fibers. You know that they contain few mitochondria but possess red muscle fibers. Next, the fibers that contain few mitochondria but high concentration of glycolytic enzymes, they will be called glycolytic muscle fibers. Less myoglobin means white muscle fibers. So, low rates of myosin ATP hydrolysis means slow oxidative fibers. More myosin ATPase, okay, and more ATP means fast oxidative fibers. Next, fast glycolytic fibers, myosin ATPase will be a myosin ATPase activity but cannot make such as ATPase oxidative fibers. ATPase oxidative fibers. So, like this, maximum speed will be there, fast glycolytic fibers. Okay.